What if the real reason you feel stuck is because your thoughts were never yours to begin with? What if the voice in your head, the one that doubts, hesitates, overthinks, was never your voice at all, but a reflection of everything you've been told since you were a child? And what if the only way to take your life back is to take your mind back first? This video is not just information. It's a full rewiring session. But it won't work unless you stay with me. All the way through. Every word, every idea, every mental shift. Because we're not here to inspire you. We're here to install a new version of you. Not over weeks, not over months, but right now. Because this is the starting point of all power. Control over thought. The mind is not a mirror that reflects the world. It's a magnet that pulls experiences into form based on the thoughts you allow. And unless you consciously direct those thoughts, they will be directed for you. By fear, by doubt, by weakness, by the noise of a distracted world. You see, most people are not living with purpose. They're living by programming. They think they're making decisions, but really they're reacting to their past, to their surroundings, to what others expect. They're repeating thoughts they never chose, chasing goals they don't understand, and wondering why they feel empty even when they achieve something. But the truth is simple. You become what you think about. That is the law. Thought held consistently and with emotion becomes belief. Belief acted upon becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. So if you want to change your life, no, not temporarily, but permanently, it doesn't begin with your habits. It begins with your thoughts. You must become ruthless with what you allow to take root in your mind. You cannot allow weakness to linger. You cannot entertain maybe. You cannot afford to casually scroll through doubt, negativity, and distraction every morning and expect to walk through the world with clarity and power. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains the body, with discipline, intention, and repetition. And the first training is this: decide what kind of man you are becoming. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now that is the starting point of all power. Not a feeling, not a wish, not a moment of hype, but a decision. A firm mental decision to step into a higher identity and to begin repeating that identity until it hardwires itself into your nervous system. Because the world doesn't rise to meet your hopes. It rises to meet your standard. You are not here to react to life. You are here to design it. With thought, with focus, with precision. Every great empire was first built in the invisible realm of thought. Before the structure, before the steel, before the system, there was a man with an idea that he refused to let go. That man is you. You must begin to see your mind as sacred space, a temple, a construction site for power. Every thought you dwell on is a brick, and you are either building a fortress or digging a grave. Let me be clear. This isn't theory. This is the law of the mind. If you do not take full control over what you think, you will never have control over how you live. So right now you draw the line. No more drifting, no more borrowed beliefs, no more default identity. From this moment forward, you become the architect. You choose your thoughts. You repeat them with emotion, and you align your actions with them until reality bends to match the image you hold in your mind. This is not the time to scroll. This is not the time to doubt. This is the time to build, and it starts here. Stay with me. The deeper we go, the more your old mind will resist. But that resistance, that's the signal that change is happening. You're not just watching a video. You are rewiring the very foundation of who you are. So stay locked in, because this is the moment your power begins. Your mind is a factory, a manufacturing center, and your dominant thoughts are its blueprint. From the moment you wake up to the moment you close your eyes, this factory is working. It is producing beliefs, behaviors, reactions, and results. The workers never stop. The machines never sleep. But what they produce depends entirely on the blueprint you give them. If the blueprint is fear, the factory will build hesitation. If the blueprint is doubt, the machines will produce excuses. But if the blueprint is vision, And if that vision is reinforced daily with precision and power, the factory will build outcomes that others call impossible. This is not a metaphor. This is your mind. Everything you do, every decision, habit, instinct, and emotional reaction is the result of what has been impressed upon your subconscious mind. You don't act on what's true. You act on what you believe. And belief is built through repetition. This is why two men can face the same challenge, and one rises while the other crumbles. One was trained by fear, the other was trained by faith. Same world, same pressure, different programming. Your subconscious mind doesn't argue, it doesn't evaluate, it doesn't filter, it accepts. What you give it over and over again, that becomes its truth. So ask yourself, what have you repeated to yourself so many times that it became who you are? I'm not disciplined. I always mess things up. I can't stay consistent. I don't have what it takes. I'll start tomorrow. I'm just not like them. You didn't choose these beliefs. You rehearsed them over and over until your mind accepted them as commands. And now they run silently in the background. Not because they're real, but because they've been repeated. Understand this. The subconscious mind does not respond to what is true. It responds to what is dominant. This means if your dominant thought is fear, you will act in fear. If your dominant thought is weakness, you will live small. But if you make your dominant thought strength, clarity, vision, and power, you will become the kind of man who reflects those things in everything he does. This is why your internal dialogue matters more than anything the world says about you. What you say to yourself in silence is the loudest voice in your life. It becomes your standard. It becomes your identity. It becomes the invisible force that guides every word, every decision, every move you make. And here's the most important truth of all, you can rewrite it. No matter what your past has been, no matter what environment raised you, no matter how long you've lived by the wrong script, the factory doesn't care. It just builds what it's told. And if you hand it a new blueprint, daily, repeatedly, deliberately, it will begin producing a different outcome, a stronger one, a focused one, a life aligned with vision, not fear. Because your mind is not broken. It is obedient, but it only obeys the architect bold enough to take control of the blueprint. And that architect is you. If your subconscious mind is the factory, then autosuggestion is the manager. It is the process, the ritual of planting your own instructions into the subconscious mind over and over until they take root. You are doing it already, every day, whether you realize it or not. Through your thoughts, your words, your self-talk, your focus, you are feeding your mind. The only question is, are you doing it by design or by drift? Most people drift. They absorb beliefs from their environment, from media, from parents, from failures. And those beliefs become their inner commands. But a man who is decided, a man who understands the power of repetition, does not drift. He designs, he wakes up before the world can get to him, and he speaks his identity into existence. He does it in the morning, when the mind is soft, open, and impressionable. He does it at night, when the mind is slowing down, no longer distracted. He does it daily, not once, not sometimes, every day, because the subconscious doesn't respect effort. It respects dominance. What it hears most, it believes most. And what it believes, it builds. This is how transformation begins, not through hype, not through temporary emotion, through repetition with purpose. This is how you shift from, I wish I was disciplined, to I am a man of discipline. From I'll try to stay focused, to I finish everything I start. From I'm scared of failing, to there is no failure, only feedback, and I adapt. Because thoughts do not become things by accident. They become things when they are rehearsed with belief, when they are spoken out loud, when they are felt in the body, when they are repeated until the mind has no choice but to accept them as reality. Let me give you the exact steps. First, write your chief aim, not a wish, not a goal, A decision, what you are building, who you are becoming, put it in writing, in your own words, with clarity and fire. Second, read it aloud twice a day, once in the morning, once before bed, not like a robot, but like a man speaking his future into existence. Third, attach emotion. You must feel it, picture it, visualize the reward. See yourself already in possession of the identity and outcome, because it's not just what you say, it's what you believe as you say it. Fourth, speak with authority. You are not asking for this. You are commanding it, not because you're entitled, but because you're aligned. Your habits match your words. Your actions match your vision. And that alignment builds the one thing no man can fake: faith, not hope, not hype. Faith. And faith is not a feeling. It is a habit. It is the result of installing belief through deliberate repetition until it becomes stronger than doubt, stronger than fear, stronger than anything the world throws at you. This is how you reprogram your mind. Not once, not when you feel like it, daily, until the words echo when you move, until your habits match your declarations, until your identity is no longer tied to your past, but welded to your decision. Because you're not just a man hoping for better results. You are the engineer of your mind, and it's time to build something that cannot be undone. Fear is the great thief of dreams. It doesn't knock down the door. It whispers through the keyhole. It doesn't scream. It suggests. It plants doubt. It delays your action. And by the time you notice what it's done, it's already stolen years of your life. But here's the truth. Fear is not real. It's not a force. It's not a wall. It's not a predator hunting you down. Fear is a ghost, and a ghost only survives if you believe in it. Every man on this journey must face the same 6 ghosts, 6 illusions, 6 shadows that haunt the path of progress. And until you name them, until you drag them out of the dark and into the light, they will haunt you. The first is the fear of poverty, the fear of not having enough. It paralyzes action. It keeps men trapped in safety. It whispers, don't take the risk. Stay comfortable. What if you lose everything? But comfort is the cage. It's the luxury that rots your will. And the irony is this: the man who fears poverty most is the one most likely to live in it, because his decisions are shaped by avoidance, not ambition. The second is the fear of criticism, the fear of judgment, of being misunderstood. This is the fear that stops men from even starting. It says, what will they think? What if I look stupid? What if I fail in public? But listen carefully. No man has ever built anything great without first being criticized. You cannot chase greatness and avoid judgment. They come together. Let them talk while you build. The third is the fear of ill health, the fear of breakdown, of sickness, of loss of strength. But the fear itself creates the conditions. Worry weakens, anxiety destroys immunity, and stress becomes the sickness. The antidote: action, wellness, focus. You protect the body not by fearing its failure, but by feeding its strength. The fourth is the fear of loss of love, the fear of abandonment, of rejection, of being left behind. This fear causes men to shrink, to chase validation, to tolerate disrespect just to stay accepted. But a man who lives for love will lose himself to keep it. And the moment you lose yourself, you've already lost what matters most. The fifth is the fear of old age, the fear of time, of decline, of being too late. But age is not your enemy. Indecision is. You are not running out of time. You are wasting the time you have because you're waiting, doubting, postponing. But the moment you decide to move, time bends. It sharpens. It multiplies. Because clarity compresses years into months. And finally, the sixth, the fear of death, the final illusion, the fear that underpins all the others. But what is death to a man who lived fully, who built, who decided, Who followed his calling with everything he had? Death is not the enemy. Wasting your life is. These are the 6 ghosts. Not truths, not laws, ghosts. Empty illusions passed from man to man like curses until someone breaks them. And that man, that's you. Because fear cannot survive in the presence of purpose. It shrinks under the heat of decisiveness. It dies in the fire of action. But here's the trick fear uses best. It doesn't show up as fear. It disguises itself as logic, as realism, as being safe. But that's the mask. That's how fear tricks you into compliance, while calling itself your friend. Let this sink in. Fear is a thief dressed as a friend. It whispers safety while stealing your destiny. And the only way to defeat a thief is to confront him. You cannot outrun fear. You cannot reason with it. You can only do one thing, confront it. You look it in the eye, you name it. You strip it of disguise, and then you act in direct defiance of it. Because fear survives in silence, in hesitation, in delay. It feeds on avoidance. The longer you wait to confront it, the stronger it feels. But here's the secret. It only feels stronger. In reality, fear has no substance. It's only as real as your reaction. So the first step is this. Name it, write it down. Don't keep it vague. Don't keep it internal. Name the exact fear that's keeping you small. Write the sentence that's been running your life. Maybe it sounds like this. I'm afraid I'll fail and everyone will see. I'm afraid I'm not good enough. I'm afraid it's too late. Get it on paper. Let it bleed. Because when you give fear a name, you steal its shadow. You force it to stand in the light. And fear cannot survive long in the light. Now we speak against it. Write the counter to the fear. Not in soft language, but in commands. Speak like a man who's done being bullied by his own mind. Say things like, I do not fear failure. I fear regret. I do not need to be perfect. I need to be in motion. I do not ask permission. I build. Every time you speak like this, you're reprogramming your mind. You are reshaping the operating system, because the voice in your head becomes the belief in your bones. And now, take the most important step. Act. Fear dies in motion. The second you take the step, make the call, hit publish, show up, speak up, you kill the hesitation that feeds the fear. You don't need courage to act. You act, and courage shows up after. Because the action isn't just what changes your life. It's what rewires your identity. Every time you act boldly, you train your subconscious to trust you. You prove to your mind, we move forward now. You create a new loop, a new pattern, a new image of who you are. And that's what breaks the cycle. Because fear and identity cannot share the same space. The man who is defined by hesitation cannot also be defined by action. One identity must die. One must become dominant. And that dominance comes from repetition, which brings us to the most important tool you have, definiteness of purpose. The man with a clear mission doesn't negotiate with fear. He doesn't consult the crowd. He doesn't wait for applause. He moves because he decided. When your purpose is strong, fear becomes a background noise, faint, irrelevant, unconvincing. It might whisper, but it no longer commands. So build a mission so strong that fear cannot compete. A mission that makes you willing to be misunderstood. A mission that makes you immune to distraction. A mission that makes the discomfort worth it, because the reward is more real than the risk. And when that mission is burned into your mind, you won't need hype. You'll have direction. Because here's the truth most won't admit. You will feel fear. It won't vanish completely. But now, you'll move anyway. You'll see fear and say, thank you for confirming I'm on the edge of growth. Thank you for the signal. Now get out of my way. Because on the other side of that fear, that's where your new self lives. And every time you cross that line, you get closer. You become more decisive, more dangerous, more undeniable. Not because fear left, but because you stopped listening. You started leading. You acted. So write the fear, speak against it, then act immediately. And every time you do, You are not just killing fear. You are replacing it with purpose, with clarity, with a new identity. You don't just overcome fear. You become someone it can no longer speak to. Identity is not fixed. It's not carved into stone. It's shaped, sculpted by repetition. The man you become is not created by a single moment of clarity, but by the thousands of silent repetitions you perform when no one is watching, the words you say to yourself, the emotions you attach to those words, the images you hold in your mind. You become what you repeat. If you speak like a man who is unsure, you become a man who hesitates. If you walk like a man with no aim, you drift. If your rituals are reactive, so is your destiny. But if your words carry power, if your routines carry intent, if your beliefs are repeated with emotion, your identity bends to your design. This is not a theory, this is law. The subconscious mind does not argue. It does not fact check. It obeys. It accepts what is repeated with intensity, especially when that repetition comes with emotion. You don't have to feel ready, you have to feel real. When you say, I am focused, even when you're not, and you say it again and again and again, you begin to change the emotional code inside your nervous system. You fire new circuits, you spark new expectations, and over time, your actions begin to match your words. You are not pretending, you are installing. This is why autosuggestion works, because identity is not inherited, it's rehearsed. You must begin speaking to yourself not as you've been, but as you intend to become. Not as a reaction to your environment, but as a command to your future. Say it now. I am not a man who drifts. I am not a man who reacts. I move with purpose. I decide. I finish what I start. If you say it once, it's a whisper. If you say it 10 times a day for 30 days straight, it becomes your standard. This is what the great ones do. Not once, not twice. Daily. They shape their minds with intention. They do not leave identity to chance, because the world will try to program you. Your past will try to repeat itself. Your environment will try to write your story. But when you decide to repeat power, you take authorship. You are not living by memory anymore. You are living by design. That is how you build the identity of a winner. Say it. Repeat it. Move like it until the world doesn't need to hear it, because it will feel it in your presence. And when you've done that, when your beliefs match your speech, and your speech matches your actions, and your actions match your future, that's when identity becomes inevitable. Words alone are not enough unless you own them, unless they are tied to repetition, to belief, and to action. You must install the identity of a winner, line by line, until there is no trace of the man you used to be. And this is how you do it, through daily declarations, not casual, not passive, not whispered. You speak them with force. You feel them in your bones. You declare them until your subconscious no longer questions their truth. You are not just saying affirmations, you are giving commands. You are writing code into the deepest part of your operating system, and the code must be simple, clear, repeated, and felt. Let's begin now. Say these words out loud, no matter where you are, no matter how it feels. Say them like your future depends on it, because it does. I am disciplined. Say it again. I am disciplined. Not when it's easy, not when you feel like it, but when it's required. Because discipline is not a mood, it is a decision. And every time you say this line, you reinforce your ability to act in alignment with who you are becoming. Now say, I am decisive. Indecision kills more dreams than failure ever could. But you are not indecisive. You know what you want. You know what must be done. And even if fear shows up, you do not let it stay. Because a man who decides quickly and changes slowly builds empires. Now say, I am calm under pressure. Pressure does not break you, it activates you. You are not shaken by chaos. You are not moved by emotion. You stand firm because your foundation is solid. You are grounded, unshakable, steady, because you've trained your mind to lead, even when the world shakes. Now say, I am not average. I do not drift. Average is the result of passive programming, but you are no longer passive. You are intentional. You don't float. You move forward. You build. You create. You execute every single day. These are not nice words. These are not motivational lines to post on a screen. These are installations. And if you want them to work, and if you want them to change you, if you repeat them daily, every morning before the world has a chance to speak, every night before the noise of the day fades your clarity, this is your ritual. This is your code. You say these words like your life depends on them, because it does. I am disciplined. I am decisive. I am calm under pressure. I am not average. I do not drift. You're not saying these to feel good. You're saying them to become dangerous. This is not wishful thinking. It's mental conditioning. Just like a body is sculpted through training and resistance, the mind is shaped through repetition and command. You speak these declarations until your subconscious believes them without hesitation, until they echo in your posture, your tone, your habits, your results. And eventually, you won't need to say them out loud anymore. The world will hear them in your silence. Sit up, be still, listen closely, because this is the part where most men lose the game, not from a lack of strength, not from a lack of intelligence, but from a lack of decision. They wait, they hesitate, they ask the world what it thinks before they trust what they know. And in that delay, they lose everything. Understand this. Indecision is the silent killer of dreams. Not failure, not fear, indecision. Every time you say maybe, you feed your weakness. Every time you hesitate, you teach your mind to obey fear. And the tragedy? Most men will go their entire lives thinking they need more time, when in truth, they just needed more direction. The most powerful force you will ever wield is your ability to decide. Not to wish, not to wonder, but to decide fully, completely, without apology, and not just once, daily. Because decision is not a moment, it's a habit. You don't drift into greatness, you decide your way into it. Let me make this plain. Your progress is locked behind a door called decision. And until you knock, until you step forward, until you declare your direction, the door stays shut. Most men never even knock. They're waiting for permission, for signs, for clarity, for someone else to tell them it's okay. But the truth is, no one is coming. No one is going to rescue you from your hesitation. No one is going to live your life for you. The world belongs to those who decide. Say this right now. I decide quickly and change slowly. That one line, if lived, can change your life. Because when you become the kind of man who moves with decisiveness, you stop wasting energy. You stop leaking time. You stop handing your power to your emotions, your distractions, your doubts. You claim it. You say, this is who I am, this is what I want, and this is what I'm building, no matter how long it takes. There is power in finality, in deciding once and then building systems to follow through. Every great achievement in history began with a decision. Not a plan, not a meeting, not a guarantee. A decision. The man who built an empire, he decided. The man who transformed his body, he decided. The man who rose from nothing and became unstoppable, he decided. And he didn't decide casually. He decided like there was no other option. You need to do the same. Whatever you're thinking about starting, start. Whatever habit you know must die, kill it. Whatever standard you've been avoiding, install it now. Say this out loud. I decide. I don't wait, I don't beg, I don't delay, I decide. And if you're serious about locking in for real, make this your personal mantra. I said 90, not 9. That means no quitting on day 9. No bailing when it gets uncomfortable. No restarting every time your emotions change. You said 90, you gave your word, and the man you're becoming, he keeps his word. Not because it's easy, not because it's fun, but because that's who he is now. Let others flinch. Let others drift. Let others change their mind every time the wind blows. You decide once, and build systems so strong they carry you through when motivation fades. That's power. Not emotion, not hype. Decision. You've made the decision. You've committed to the path, but now you must protect it. This world you're living in, it's louder than ever. Noise everywhere. Notifications, opinions, headlines, updates, all fighting for space in your mind. And if you're not careful, that noise will eat your clarity alive. You don't rise by joining the noise. You rise by stepping out of it. Power doesn't come from being loud. Power comes from silence, from discipline, from moving in ways the world can't predict because it doesn't see you. The men who built empires didn't do it by tweeting every step. They didn't broadcast their goals. They didn't ask for permission or applause. They worked quietly, relentlessly, with their heads down and their focus locked in like a weapon. Because here's what they understood. Privacy is power. What you keep to yourself, you protect. What you build in silence, you build without interference. And in a world addicted to showing, to telling, to proving, your silence becomes a superpower. It creates mystery, it creates momentum, it creates results so undeniable that the world has no choice but to feel you. This isn't about isolation. This isn't about hiding. This is about discipline. The discipline to hold your vision sacred, to let your actions speak, to train in the dark, not because you're scared to be seen, but because you're obsessed with becoming. You see, the mind thrives in stillness, in repetition, in reflection, not in chaos, not in commentary. When you give your mind space, when you remove the noise, the comparison, the endless opinions, clarity rises. Decisions become simple. Direction becomes obvious. That's why every morning must begin in silence. No scrolling, no reacting, just stillness. Just breathe. Just you and the image of who you are becoming. You rehearse your identity. You install your script. You repeat your aim, your mission, your standard. Not to motivate yourself, but to align yourself. That's the difference. This isn't hype. This is engineering. You're not just getting inspired. You're installing software. And you don't do that in the crowd. You do it in solitude. Because when you can move without applause, you're free. When you no longer need to explain your grind, justify your standards, or defend your obsession, you've unlocked a new level of control. Let others post. Let them perform. Let them chase validation. You build. And when the world finally sees what you've become, it won't be because you told them. It'll be because your results were too loud to ignore. That's how this works. You train in silence, so your presence speaks volumes. So from this day forward, make silence your sanctuary. Carve out time every morning and night to return to yourself. Speak your affirmations. Rehearse your goals. Visualize your outcome with emotion and clarity. Let repetition become your rhythm. Let stillness become your edge. And most of all, protect your mind like it's a vault. Because the man who controls what gets in controls what comes out. The world will doubt you until you make them feel you, not with words, but with results. And when that moment comes, they won't remember what you said. They'll remember what you became. If the dream is real, the habits must be too. You've silenced the world, you've fortified the mind, but now you must move, and not once, not occasionally, but daily. Rituals are where men are built or broken. This is the part most never take seriously. They make grand statements, bold goals, loud declarations, but their habits tell the truth. What you do each morning, what you say to yourself, how you move when no one's watching, that's who you are. Not your potential, not your ambition, not even your talent, your rituals. You see, success doesn't happen in the future. It happens daily. It happens in the morning decision to rise with discipline, in the midday push when everyone else is slowing down, in the nightly review of what you've built. It's in the system. It's in the standard. It's in the structure you either create or default to. There is no middle ground. You're either living by design or by drift. Let's be clear. Your rituals are not small. They're not minor. They're the blueprint of your results. You can't escape this truth. You will either install the patterns of greatness or inherit the patterns of mediocrity. There is a universal law, unbreakable, invisible, and absolute, that governs this reality. I call it the law of cosmic habit force. Once you create a rhythm, once your mind and body are conditioned to a certain way of living, that rhythm begins to carry you forward or backward, up or down. That rhythm either becomes your engine or your anchor. Most men never realize it. They think they're choosing moment by moment, but they're not. They're being pulled by the patterns they've repeated for years, habits they never questioned, loops they never rewrote, and now they're wondering why they feel stuck. It's simple. Your current life is the echo of your past rhythms. And if that scares you, good. It means you're ready to install new ones. This is your mission now. Build momentum loops, routines that feed the mind, the body, the mission, every single day. First, the mind, morning programming, auto-suggestion, identity statements, mental clarity. You command your mind before the world does. Second, the body, training, not for vanity, but for dominance. Strength over softness, vitality over laziness. Movement sharpens focus. Third, the mission, deep work, no distractions, a minimum of 90 focused minutes where you advance the goal, where you move the needle. These are your loops. You lock them in like law. No negotiation, no compromise, no "I'll start tomorrow." Discipline today is what builds the man you'll be tomorrow. You don't need complexity. You need consistency. You don't need perfection. You need alignment. And every time you execute your routine, you tell your mind, this is who I am now. And if you miss, you reset. No shame, no stories, just back into rhythm, back into alignment. You see, obsession isn't dangerous when it's aimed correctly. It's not something to fear. It's something to install. Because success is the result of systematic obsession, repeated belief, repeated execution, repeated refusal to live out of sync with your vision. So stop hoping your future will rise from chance. Make it rise from ritual. Now you know the truth about your mind, about fear, about habits, about power. You've seen the framework. You've heard the commands. You've walked the path in thought. But none of it matters unless you do it again tomorrow. This message means nothing if it's only heard once. This isn't a story. This isn't entertainment. This is mental conditioning. And conditioning doesn't happen through exposure. It happens through repetition. You do not become powerful by watching. You become powerful by rehearsing power until it becomes your default. This is your final command. Rewire, rise, repeat, daily, without excuse, without delay, without needing to feel ready. You wake up, and before the world speaks, you speak first. You tell your mind what it is, who you are, what matters. You install belief, not with hype, but with structure, with the calm, certain tone of a man who's done negotiating with weakness. And here's how. Step 1, wake up with intention. No scrolling, no reacting. You don't grab the phone, you grab the steering wheel. You own the morning before it owns you. Step 2, program the mind. Listen to this message again. Say the script aloud. The I am statements, the purpose, the declarations. Make them louder than doubt, louder than fear, louder than the voice of the old self. Step 3, visualize the outcome. Don't just hear it, see it. Walk through your future in your mind's eye like it's already here. Feel the result, smell the reward. Stand inside your vision with your chest tall and your eyes locked. Step 4, move with obsession. Attack your rituals, train your body, advance your mission. Finish what you start. Today isn't a rehearsal. It's a brick in the foundation of a man who does not fold. And tomorrow you come back again, because greatness isn't about what you do once. It's about what you do until it's automatic, until it's instinct, until it's you. That's what this speech was. Not motivation, but installation. A new mental operating system, a shift from doubt to dominance, from drift to design. You don't return to the old self after this. You can't. Because now you've seen what's possible. You've felt the fire. You've touched the edge of who you can become. And once you do, you don't go back. You build, you rise, you repeat. And now a final command. today you decide to rise. Today you speak like the man you're becoming, and tomorrow you return. Stronger, sharper, louder, quieter, more you than ever before. So subscribe, save this video, make it your ritual. Don't just learn it, live it. Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It needs men who build themselves into weapons and walk like they meant to do it. This is your moment, and it starts again tomorrow.